Where'd she go? I'm back at Mom's, and we're gonna show you how to make something that's not gonna break the bank, and it's really easy. It's called a chocolate pie, and it's got meringue on it. If you'll look at a couple of posts below where we are right now on Facebook page, the recipe is there with some of the pictures. But what we're doing, I'll turn this off. The milk is going. Psalm 34:8 says, "Taste and see the Lord is good." And you know, when we think about that, if you read that whole psalm, it's talking about the character and praising God and knowing Him and building that relationship. And in doing so, God has good things for us. Now, that doesn't mean that everything's going to be rosy, but we do know that God's going to take care of us. And it's, you know, when we depend on Him for our daily bread, He also blesses us at times with something more than just daily bread. It's in the form of a chocolate pie. So what we've done is, Mom has the milk is getting warm. The 2 cups, a cup and a fourth of sugar, and a fourth or so cup of cocoa powder, and she's mixing this together for what?
So it won't clump when you put it in there.
When you put cocoa powder in stuff and it's all cold and it's just cocoa powder, it has a tendency to lump. And this is 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and all this is going to help mix up in the milk. And while she's doing this, I'm going to whisk I'm going to mix up the egg yolks. And how many eggs? Well, we're going to do
3 eggs.
3 medium eggs. And if
fresh ground, fresh
out of the chicken eggs. But if you have, I'll show you the other eggs. If you have
Bannies.
If you have what? If you have Banny, you'd need about 5 of these. So 3 medium eggs or 5 little eggs. All right, and this is going to be added once this is heated up really good. Once it's not all the way thickened, because the cornstarch is going to help thicken, right?
Mm-hmm. And the egg yolks.
And the egg yolks. So make sure you've separated, because the egg yolks are going to be different. Mom also told me that now, if you're familiar with making like egg drop soup, that's what we don't want. So what do we do with this? Is temper it. It's tempering it so it doesn't clump when you start and make scrambled eggs as you're doing that. Yeah. So the way that you do that is, I'm going to give this to her and just watch how she begins tempering it. Throw them out.
What are you doing? Well, I can't get it in there.
She's tempering the eggs. The chocolate sauce is hot. You wouldn't want to stick your finger in the pot, but.
And then you stir this as you put your eggs in there.
What's it looking like? How's it looking?
It's looking. And you stir to keep it from sticking to the bottom of the pan and scorching, burning. And you can look now and see that it's beginning to thicken some already. And we're going to let it get thick. And we've already prepared our pie crust. You can either make your own or you can buy one. I just prefer to make my own pie crust because I never know when I'm going to need one. So
how'd you make it? What's a basic pie crust?
A basic pie crust is 2 cups of sugar, 2 cups of flour, and I'll use self-rising or plain, whichever I've got here in the kitchen. If you use plain flour, you're going to have to add a little salt and a little baking powder. Then you for that, you would put a cup of butter.
How much is that?
Cold butter, which would be 2 sticks. And you can show this here. It's beginning to thicken. It's kind of not bubbling, but it's popping. And we're going to let it get thick enough that we're going to pour it in our pie crust. We've got vanilla we're going to add.
The vanilla is added toward the end. There's a teaspoon of vanilla in this that we'll add just before it is ready to go in the pie crust. This looks so good. So how much do you think, out of all the ingredients, how much do you think this pie would cost? How much are we investing in a pie?
Well, I have all the stuff here, so if I don't use it for this, I'd use it for some biscuits or just maybe a pudding. And maybe out of my pocket, I would have spent $2 if I'd have had to buy the eggs.
Yeah, so this is not a recipe that's going to break the bank. This is something that's going to be really cheap because most of you probably have the cocoa powder and the sugar and the flour. And who doesn't have butter? I mean, you got to have butter in your refrigerator. Butter and bacon. So there goes the...
there goes the vanilla.
There goes the vanilla.
Sure, that pops. Let me turn that back. See how it's not boiling, but it's popping? There's air coming through there. So when it cools, it will slice. So, we're going to pour this in our pie crust.
There we go.
And you get all of it, all the good stuff. And then if you want to know how it's going to taste, you take your finger and lick it. It's good.
I got it. Let me have some. So the other thing that we did, the other thing that we did was with the meringue, is we have the egg whites here and sugar. Mom said that, well, let's plug that in over here. She said that for every egg white, use how many?
2 tablespoons.
For every egg white, use 2 tablespoons of sugar. For your and these are medium eggs, so.
Excuse the noise.
As you can tell, this is something that most anybody would be able to do this recipe. We probably, I mean, if you have kids that want to help, if they do crack the eggs, if you have one of the egg separators, you should let them do that. Let them practice. but it's something that kids and teenagers, just about anybody can make a chocolate pie. What she's doing is getting the egg whites to a stiff heat. Almost. You could do this with a hand whisk. It would probably take a long time. The $6 million man could. There we go.
Beat it till you get peaks.
See? Stiff peaks. Hey, you want me to wipe this off?
If I wasn't doing this to film, I'd take my fingers and get every bit of that goodness off of there.
Instead,
I'll do it while she's filling out the pie. Now, tell me the trick about once you have the meringue on there.
Once you get the meringue, you need to bring all your meringue up to the edge of your pie crust. Because if you don't, I don't know why, but it will get air under there and your egg whites will have water under them. It just produces a water. Now, if you're going to eat all the pie at one time, it won't matter. You're going to eat it while it's fresh and hot. We're going to put this in the oven on broil. Now, I have a friend who would not think about putting it on broil. She's going to bake it again. Well, I know what these chickens ate. And I'm going to just put this in the oven on broil and brown it.
Hooey. So while she's doing that, what do you say we have a slice of pie? So this is the finished product of what a pie is going to look like. So, oh man, I don't know where to cut from. I just want to dig in. Ooh. That'll be my piece.
I hope it didn't.
I hope so. If it didn't, we'll have it anyway. Oh man.
I think it did.
Ooh-wee. Sorry, I messed up this piece. I'll have the messed up piece. I know that looks kind of ugly, but
This is what you call homemade chocolate pie. And they're better, as soon as they sort of cool off to eat than they are the next day.
I think so. What do you think? Oh man, that is delicious. But as delicious as this is, Jesus is better. But you know what? We know who this came from, so that even makes it better when you say a blessing before your meal, because you know where it came from. That's how you make a chocolate pie, y'all. Doesn't take a long time, and with that one in the oven, getting the meringue all toasted and nice. Oh my goodness. I can't wait to, I'm glad I have a cup of coffee over there too. This is going to be wonderful. Hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you. Thanks for coming up.
Hey, y'all have a great evening. Good to see you. Y'all have a great evening. We love y'all.
Love you.